Hello, um, Mitchell here. Um, I've been calling this streaming consciousness, but you can also just look me up at Mitchell, and that's Mytchell. Uh, if you need to contact me, my email is in my information. I am a anxiety and PTSD stress coach. I don't have any letters behind my name other than MS, and that isn't for therapy or any of that stuff. So this is not meant as medical advice or as psychological uh, counseling in the least. Okay, uh, take with it what you will. But what I do have is decades of experience working with people, and I have a wonderful outside perspective that gives me the freedom to actually go to the places that need to be dealt with in people who are experiencing tremendous crises that is reflected in anxiety or stress or PTSD or CPTSD, um, ADS, ADHD, and generally, well, throw chronic pain in there. Um, but boy, I feel like the root of this um, is available to us, and it's not all in the mind. Okay, I work with a lot of somatic release using primarily breath work um, and polyvagal theory. I work with the polyvagal system with the parasympathetic and the sympathetic system. But that's not what I want to talk about today. I apologize for going down that little side tangent. What I do want to talk about today is, well, let's talk about what's going on in the political world. This is for entertainment purposes only. And the people that we see in this world uh, represent something that we individually need to heal. Now, we're talking about it as a collective, right? The collective dysfunction and all these things. And we look at these people and we say, those guys are so dysfunctional. And we come up with feelings inside that turn into uh, very stressful feelings. And a lot of that um, is something that we will be um, trying to turn around today. Okay, I'm going to give you the tools to look at these things in a different way, and then we will turn it around. So uh, this is, to me, the political scene, and say the orange guy uh, is a wonderful example of the macro and the micro. Okay, the macro, the orange guy, is not just our national, but as we're seeing it, it's our international ego. Um, and then Putin, again, this is entertainment purposes only, would be the superego, or the that father figure that lives inside of us. And Trump would be that um, underperforming son or daughter that lives inside of us, and that's always trying to please the father, but is really distracted with the pleasures that encounters, or maybe is driven to distract themselves. Okay, so let's find those inside of us, and we transmute that. Okay, the reason it's so painful for so many of us to see these things, and why we get such strong emotional reactions when we uh, listen to these people on the world stage is because there's something inside of us that strikes uh, strikes us either as very true or very false, and that needs to be healed. Okay, how can it be healed? Well, healing is another word that I have um, trouble with. Um, Healing suggests that things get fixed and that a better way, or there's a wrong and there's a right. But let's stick more to the middle and think of it as there's appropriate and inappropriate. So this energy that's in us that is stimulated by or activated by a national political figure, whoever they might be. You know, there's a bunch of them coming out. And so we're seeing little characteristics in all of them. Uh, in for example, the Senate hearings on the cabinet members, the cabinet picks. Wow, those are some pretty raunchy people. But hey, what are these things that are triggering me about them? Now, how do I transmute this? Okay. And there's several ways, but we'll go over a couple. One good way to get a really good visual, visceral image and sense for who they are, what they are, is to write it down. Make a list of the big characteristics. Let's not get too exhaustive of maybe the orange tyrant. Okay. And then on the other side, let's put a line down the middle. Let's make a list of what the opposite characteristics would be. Boom, 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 boom. So that's just giving us sort of this baseline, okay? But what we really need to do then is listen. Let's listen to this person. Let's take them back, maybe as a child. And any of you who are parents, you have a child who's had a temper tantrum. Usually the temper tantrum is striking out against that last little thing, and it's not addressing the whole problem, okay? Or it's not addressing the root problem. So you listen to your child. You know, Billy took this thing away from me. Okay, they took my toy. Is it the toy that they wanted? Or was it a sense of being encroached upon? Was it that they felt overpowered? Or maybe they felt weak because somebody else was able to take their toy. Maybe their concentration was broken and they were in this zone of pure bliss playing with this toy, and their counterpart Billy comes and takes it away. Well, that little cocoon of safety was burst, and they put the reason for it is the lack of the toy, and then Billy who took away the toy. And so they said, my bliss was centered on this thing, and then this thing was removed, and the person that removed this thing is the cause of my dissatisfaction, my horror, my terror, my discontent. So all of this takes me back to, where is the source of the bliss that came with just that concentration with that toy? Was it the thing, or was it the imagination that was generated from within using this little prop to help us get there in a physical experience? Okay? So there's what the root of it is we've been pulled away from our source, which is bliss, which is happiness, which is kindness. And we're looking at the things. And then we're looking at the people who either allow us or disallow us the things. Okay, now the things represent pleasures. They're not the happiness or the bliss or the experience. They represent the pleasures that can get us partway there. Now the pleasures register to the mind, but not to the soul. So when we want to heal something deep, like what I'm calling the national or the international ego, we need to sit with it, find the roots. Now we've made these two lists, and those are characteristics. Let's look at those lists and look at them as from the same lens of the bliss comes from within, not from the pleasure of without. Okay? So this is a really subtle process here. When we transmute something, we're using true alchemy. And alchemy takes a really deep, penetrating, and subtle knowledge. Okay? And so to transmute this, we can only do it through meditation. We have to come in out of the head, into the heart, or even lower. I like to come into the power center for things like this. The power center is down here at the core or at the base, at the attachment point of your diaphragm. And so in order to work with this transmutation process, we've got to really come in. And here's another fascinating idea. Part of what's happening too is the earth is waking up. Okay? We're seeing major earth changes right now in our history. Now the earth lives in a much deeper, bigger consciousness. It's on a geological timeline, while we're just transient. But what can we do as visitors on this planet? We're just the cells, the surface cells that give maybe a tiny bit more expression, that next level of expression to the Earth's consciousness. So we're going to come in meditation. I'm going to back this up a little bit further so we can see. We're going to come in meditation, and we will also ground, okay? Connect with the earth. And when we connect with the earth, we can also connect with a much wider consciousness space. Okay, we're connecting with the history of the creatures on this planet when we connect with the earth. And so let's listen carefully. Let's bring in whatever characteristics that we are calling inappropriate, right? We've discovered that these characteristics, the Earth's or the humanity's ego, is like a child throwing a temper tantrum, because the child has yet to understand the depth behind this change in feeling. And so we're going to allow this deeper self to soothe the child, which is the national ego. As it soothes the child, we come into a greater understanding as to what events, items, pieces played out in order to create this reaction in the child. And that's all this whole Trump thing is a childish reaction. Now, it looks like it's been going on for years, but when we're in the Earth scale, right, we're in geological time, it's just a burst, it's just an outburst, okay? And so we're going to look at it that way. We're going to put it into a context of geological time. It's an outburst that we are waking up to as, you can call people the light workers, the awakening awareness. Those coming into awareness are now seeing and feeling quite viscerally through our anxiety, stress, even in chronic pain, how these dysfunctions are inappropriate for our greater ongoing well-being. So we're going to take ourselves out of just the context of the me, okay, the individual me, because that's what ego is. The ego is always trying to separate and distinguish self, and only knows to get because it can only find its way partially back to its true self through pleasures, rather than actually understanding the bliss of true being. Because the ego is created as that one point that keeps us wanting to be separate. Okay? This is what's changed. So we no longer are in this place of needing to be separate. We're in a place of coming back into unity. So all this to say, our meditation is going to be, we're going to start out first off with the breath. And I'm using my basic breath, which is mouth, in and out only through the nose, mouth closed, tongue to the roof of the mouth, and exhale twice as long as your inhale. Breathe into the diaphragm. This is connecting our deeper animal nature. This is connecting with our history as creatures that formed along with all the other creatures in the planet. And this separation piece we call the nervous system, and that I'm calling the polyvagal system, which began 500 million years ago. Okay, that's the geologic time. So when we breathe in a way that connects deeply with the root of our ancestors, we're not just halfway there. We're at 3/4 of the way there, okay? 3/4. So we're going to breathe. We're going to come in down here into the solar plexus. We're going to just begin to feel the diaphragm. And what are we doing? As a human body, we are transforming air, food, water into a sense of being. We are transforming continuously. So, using that basic nature, let's begin to transmute or transform this national ego that I feel, that little piece that I feel that causes me anguish in here. Let's look at it not as he did that, because when we continue to say he did that, we're continuing to separate. When we continue to separate, we're staying in ego. When we come back to this is part of what is all going on, we need to have this idea of separation in order to have experiences, in order to have pleasures or displeasures. Okay? And we need to have displeasures in order to know what pleasure is. So, all this to say that 3/4 of it's already taken care of. The last piece is coming into awareness and witnessing. Witnessing the child that's having its temper tantrum and allowing the child to know that it is being witnessed. And as the child notices that it's being witnessed, it's naturally calmed. As it's naturally calmed, these pieces that it has attributed to his or her true bliss become unimportant. The toy, that Billy took the toy away, that his bubble of pleasure or bliss was breached, comes back to the understanding that the bliss resides within, and discovers the next thing in creation to focus on, but brings the bliss within to the next thing, rather than attributing the bliss within to the thing. Okay? Very subtle, very tricky meditation, not one that you may get the first 10, 15, 20, 400 times, all right? But one to keep practicing. As Zen Master Suzuki said, don't do, just be. Or I believe he also said, it's just the practice, don't do practice. Because everything is a practice, okay? So that's really all I have today. I'll go into these meditations deeper and deeper as time goes on, and at some point, give me some feedback, and I can lead you through an actual guided meditation in this way. This way, I believe, though, I'm giving you the pieces so that you can work with the bigger understanding of what a meditation of this sort is drawn from, so that when we do the guided meditation, you'll be able to bring in these layers of understanding. Okay? Thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.